everybody, Steve here with a question for all of you. At least all of you who have already retired. But I guess this question even applies to those of you who haven't retired yet but do plan to retire at some point. The question is, when you retired, did you move in with other people? Now, I guess this question applies mostly to those of you who are single, but not necessarily. This could apply to couples as well. So whether you're single or in a relationship, when you retired, did you make the decision to move in with other people? Family members, friends, roommates? And if so, did you do it for financial reasons? Or just because you didn't want to live alone or be lonely? I posted that question recently in a poll on this channel in the community section, and 29% of you responded yes, while 71% of you responded no. Now, I'm not really sure what I was expecting. Sometimes I post these polls and I have a pretty good idea ahead of time how the votes are going to go, or at least I assume how I think the votes are going to go. Sometimes I'm right on, but actually more times than not, I'm totally wrong. So this one, I don't know if I had any expectations, although I think if you asked me before the poll, I probably would have said that the yeses would have been quite a bit higher. Maybe 40%, 45%, maybe even 50%, and only because, as we all know, home prices and rents have skyrocketed in recent years, and grocery prices are skyrocketing. Utilities are going up, depending on where you live, but in general, utilities are going up. The cost of living is rising pretty dramatically, I think, for many people here in the US, and I think around the world as well. So for me, it wouldn't come as a surprise to learn that a lot of retirees these days are choosing to live with other people to save money. And then as an added bonus, to have built-in companionship or friends or just a social network. When you leave your jobs and you're retired, all of a sudden, a lot of retirees are left lonely and alone and without that social network. So living with other people, that seems like that would kill two birds with one stone. But with so few of you saying that you actually are living, 30%, 29% does seem pretty low. Now, I'm guessing that's probably by necessity. That's probably going to change in coming years as prices just continue to go up, especially if certain benefits are eliminated or even if they're just cut for many retirees. Now, I also just posted a poll just recently about your thoughts on whether or not Social Security will come to an end this year, and whether or not that happens. It was really shocking to me and very sad to receive so many comments from retirees watching this channel saying that they're living completely on Social Security, and if it goes away, they're living on the streets. And I wasn't expecting to hear that from so many of you watching this channel and voting in the poll. But I don't think a single person who took that poll, who left comments, mentioned that an option would be to live with other people. Most of you who are in that dire situation said you would be out on the streets. And so my thought was, well, have you thought about living with other people? And I'm guessing you probably have, or if it actually came to that, you probably would. Maybe a couple of you did say you might have to rely on your family taking care of you. I think a couple of you did say that. And so that's what happened back prior to Social Security being enacted back in the 1930s. If you retired and you had no money and you weren't able to take care of yourself, you were either out on the street or churches, other organizations, or friends and family would take you in and you would live with other people. So I think it was much more common back then for families, just in general, to live together than it is today. These days, and correct me if I'm wrong, now I grew up in California and in a suburb of Los Angeles, so my experience might be different than some of you, but my experience is that most of the people I've ever known in my life have all wanted to be very independent. Most people are single, they stay single as long as possible, and some of them eventually get married or are in relationships. But here in California anyway, my experience is that we really, really value our independence and we don't want to live with other people. We want to live alone. Unless we're in a relationship. But if we're single, we value being single and we value having our own cars. That's a good example. For years, California's been trying to get people to double up on the freeways when you're going to work. And people just, by and large, don't want to do that. They want to drive their own car. So most, probably 90% of the cars you see on the highway during the week are people driving to work by themselves when they could be driving probably with other people. But it's not as convenient and you don't have the freedom. And we really value our freedom, I think, in this country when it comes to our cars, when it comes to our living situation. Unless, of course, we're in a relationship, we're married or whatever. But it does seem as a society we are much more individually oriented than family or group oriented, the way it is in some cultures, some countries, and even the way it was here, I think, back before Social Security became a thing. So again, the poll is not scientific or anything. It's just anecdotal. It's just a little snapshot of the viewers and subscribers on this channel that took the time to vote in the poll and share in the comments of the poll their experiences. And if you miss seeing the poll, and if you miss participating in the poll will stay up. It'll remain up, so you can go to the community page and vote yes or no if you feel like it, and you can leave a comment there, or you can just leave a comment under this video and share with us what you think. And if you haven't already retired, when the time comes, is that an option? Are you planning or thinking about possibly moving in with roommates, or moving in with family or friends, or some other situation to be able to share the expenses and or for the companionship and friendship? The reason I even thought of this question in the first place is because a week or two ago, I shared on this channel, there's a new series on Hulu airing this month. I believe it starts at the end of the month, the 28th of March. And it's about three guys, three older men who've been friends for years who decide to move in together to share the expenses, to share a life together living in a home here in Palm Springs. Sort of a male version of the Golden Girls, or at least they say it was inspired by the Golden Girls. It'll be interesting to see if it's as funny and if it turns into a classic like the Golden Girls. But I think if it was guaranteed that life would be like the Golden Girls, if you had roommates, I think probably the poll would have been 75% yes. I think everyone would want to live in a situation like that. It was a lot of fun. It was a very fun show, and they seemed to have a lot of fun living together. I mean, they had their ups and downs, of course, but it was a very positive, I think, depiction of older retirees living together, or semi-retirees, or about to be retirees. So that's what made me ask the poll question, when I think a lot of you watched that video and left comments making me think, oh, I wonder how popular this is or how common this is. And so I was just curious. So as always, thanks for sharing with us once again, and I hope to see you all in the next video.